Hi, I'm Rajiv Bhatia, Director of Alternergy. Alternergy is a wholesaler and distributor of solar PV and battery storage systems. We are one of the most established distributors in the sector and have been in operation since 2006.
Hello, my name is Kai Schübel. I'm the Managing Director of K2 Solar Mounting Solution. We are a mounting system manufacturer. We are the UK subsidiary of the German K2 Systems, and we design and manufacture mounting systems for solar technology since 2004.
Well, Kai, thank you for coming. I wanted to ask you, how do you see the solar PV industry evolving over the next few years in the UK?
I'm very positive about it. Yes, we have a little trough we're going through at the moment, various reasons, high interest rates, etc. But overall, medium and long-term outlook, I'm very positive, very confident. We actually invest already in a bigger solar market, so we're preparing or gearing up for it. No, very positive. And Labour government, at least they show some support. It might not be a financial support or incentive or anything like that, but it's just like when the government and then maybe the people get behind solar wind, renewables as such, then we can, then it's a good outlook for getting the energy transition done.
So I understand, of course, that Labour going to have a budget at the end of October this month. They've already made some commitments in their manifesto about what they wish to achieve with solar, which was 50 gigawatts installed by 2030, and retaining the original commitment by the government some years ago of 70 gigawatts by 2035. That should obviously lead to significant growth. How confident are you that this government are going to get there, and what plans have you got in terms of achieving those levels of targets in terms of demand for K2?
I mean, you should always aim high, and I think that's what they do or did, also with putting it in their manifesto. Will we reach 70 gigawatts by 2035? I'm not 100% convinced. It is a steep target, but you need to set your targets high. You need to set your aims high to really get the best out of it on the way. So I'm confident for that. Is it 60 gigawatts, 50 gigawatts, 70 gigawatts, doesn't matter. It's a lot of gigawatts, and I think that's what we all need to aim for. So it's good. They have it in their manifesto. I don't expect that any financial incentives will come into force for solar. I think the industry has shown it can stand on its own feet. So why should they put more incentives in place? But if there's a moral support, that's also something. So I think that's good. We probably could do with some investment or taxpayers' investment in the electrical grid, which we all know is holding back bigger solar projects. And so that is something where I would like to see some really financial commitment by the government. And then that filters down that, all the domestic installations, the commercial rooftop installations, the ground mount installations really can access and connect to the grid and then strive better. Because at the moment we've got long lead times to actually connect to the electrical grid, and that lead time is slowing things down unnecessarily. You could argue. So I think that is something where I would like the government to put something in place. And everything else we can manage, the industry, that is.
But we have seen early signs that the government is trying to accelerate some of the solar applications that have come through, and I believe there are a couple of solar farms that got their planning permission put through very, very quickly after the government came in. Is that a sign that the current government is going to be encouraging solar and incorporating it?
I would think so, yeah. I think it's an encouraging sign, definitely. So, yeah, I'm pleased to see they are doing what they're doing. Yes, you can always argue that they could do more, but hey, they're only in power now for a couple of months, so we haven't had a first budget, so I think they also need to see how they can juggle the finances. But I think the mindset is the right. They have the right mindset.
And you think K2 is geared up to handling a steep increase in demand should it happen?
Yes, we are, definitely. So we are, in the UK specifically, we already invested in a training academy. So we want to get installers, domestic commercial installers, better trained to actually do their job better, quicker, to be able to tackle bigger projects. So we've got a training academy or facilities in place shortly. So we'll start in about 2 weeks' time. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that we nearly doubled our warehouse space. So there's headroom to actually hold more stock to then be able to support a growing industry, growing demand.
Thank you. The next question I'd like to ask you is, how important is safety as part of the product specifications?
Very important. I mean, we are a manufacturer of mounting systems for solar technology. So basically, we are on the interface between the building and the solar panel. And safety is paramount with every product development. So all our systems, they go through wind tunnel tests, internal tests, external institutes or laboratories test our system. So very, very important. And it's also because we are a European manufacturer. So you've got lots of certifications you have to have for various markets, one in France, one in Germany, UK. So we have to have all these because we operate in all these markets. So it's basically not a one-off country certification for your product, which looks into safety aspects. So we basically have to cover many more countries. That's safety on top of safety, if you like. For the UK specifically, there is the MCS product certification, some people might have heard of. So we're going through that. We've already got products MCS certified. And that's also a label showing that you've got good product quality, well tested. We've got a structural verification software. So we can actually, each and every project can be structurally verified, and each component within that project, we offer that structural verification software free of charge. So we're not charging for that. So again, you can see it is a very important aspect, and we give everyone the chance, every installer the chance to really do a proper planning also in respect of safety.
Do you think that the fact the product's German engineered and designed has an impact on the way the products are manufactured?
I would say so, yes. Is it just German or is it European? I think we do have imports from Asia, China specifically, where we can't really be sure. They often try to copy a technology or an aspect of a product, bring it in. Did they have those stringent tests over there? I don't know, I doubt it. Yeah, but as a European manufacturer, we have to do that. And the Germans are known for engineering and their engineering skills, and that certainly helps. So every new product, every thought going into product development is based on proper engineering. Yeah.
So you'd say that's the ethos of the company?
That certainly is the ethos of the company. Yeah, certainly is. And that's part of like what we basically export into other countries like the UK, that well-engineered product development. Yeah.
Thank you. So moving on in terms of safety, obviously Cato will have a lot of products in development for the future. How important is the safety aspect in relation to future products, and how does that impact on product development too?
Well, again, for every new product, it's paramount safety, and it's true. So we have quite a few new products or systems in the pipeline, and we're working on. We've got a lot of roof types covered. Yeah, so there are not many new roof types coming in where you need to adapt your product or find a new product solution for it. Ground mount is another where you can actually put solar on. So that's basically covered. So what is new for us? A new roof covering, if you like, is what we want to. Where we actually launched a product just recently is facades. Yeah, so we want to find more areas in the building envelope where you can put solar, so you can actually increase the generation of electricity. So one of it is the facades. We haven't looked at facades for a long time, the solar industry that is, but with solar panels having become so cost effective and solar has come down in price and became really interesting also financially, you would love to have more solar panels on your premises than your roof can actually accommodate. So what else can you do? I mean, the facades. Yeah, we have lots of facades where you can fix panels to. True, they might not have the optimum angle towards the sun. Yeah, so you might not have the efficiency like a perfectly inclined panel on a roof. But still, with a solar panel being so cost effective nowadays, it makes sense to also put solar panels on a facade. So we've got various options. So we're looking at facade options for sheet metal facades, for brick facades, concrete facades, all these various facade types. And that's a big area of development. And it's really a new part of the building envelope where you can put solar. Yeah, so that is a new development, and there will be a lot more coming in that respect.
And I'm assuming there's a lot of testing being done in terms of safety in relation to that.
Yeah. Oh yes, not least because the building regulations, or if you put solar panels on a pitched roof, which we class between 5 and 75 degrees, like on an angled roof, you're basically bypassing some of the building regulations. Now, when you go on a facade and you have a 90-degree inclination, you're touching more the building regulations. So you have stricter regulations you need to adhere to, like anti-slip, that the panels don't slide down, that all that is covered for. Like you do in high-rise building facades. Yeah, there's a lot of regulations you have to stick to. So that now also, we need to look into that when we do facade systems, and we do that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to also now ask you what you think are the critical factors for brands like K2 to remain competitive in the future.
We certainly need to watch the cost. That's always there, and with competition coming in from Asia, say, there's always a cost pressure. Now, this cost pressure should not be a reason for us to compromise on quality. So quality will always take top priority with K2. So keeping up the quality, there is still room where you can improve, optimize system, optimize in terms of material usage, for example, so you need less aluminium to fix something still safely to a roof or a facade. So that is the one thing. You need to watch the cost, obviously, all the time. I mean, we are in a good position in such a way that because we started early, we consider ourselves like one of the pioneers, having started 2004, developing mounting systems. We got to a good size company, and we are actually the market leader in Europe for, I think, the second year running in terms of like how much aluminium we convert into mounting systems. So that means like we've got a purchase power, which helps us to get a good pricing on the raw material market. We are very financially very healthy company, so we can actually have forward contracts in terms of buying aluminium in. So when we see the aluminium raw material price being at a good rate, we do have the power to buy bigger quantities, forward buying. So that helps us to stay competitive. And the other thing is like a material optimization. That's the one thing. One other thing I think is important, that we should make it, if you like, planning or designing a solar system in a safe way. We should make that more idiot-proof, if you like. So we are investing also heavily into our digital tools to calculate, to verify systems in various combinations, hybrid options, straightforward options. So that is a big investment area, which helps the safety aspect. Yeah. And when you can shorten the period of planning a project, that's also saving cost of the installer, say, when he sells it on. If he can plan it quickly and easily and still safely, that brings also down the cost of a solar system.
So notice that with K2 Base's design tool, in the early days it used to be very technical and took a lot of time and effort to understand how it's done. Today it's a lot easier to use, so I can see that the trajectory of the design tool is starting to become simpler, but it's still very robust. Is that what's happening within K2, that they are slowly making it even easier and adding new products? Because I also notice you've got additional products, not just K2, but you've got other products like panels and inverters, etc., being added into the tool. Is that where K2 is going to ensure that they've got a competitive advantage?
I would think like with that software that we plan to focus on the mounting side of things. I mean, we rely on external databases, for example, for modules. Yeah, so when we get some module data, which we import, so that's not a K2 thing. So we import the always latest information from any solar panel available on the market. But I think the software as such will carry on focusing on the structural verification of the mounting system. So it won't be a tool who does it all. Yeah, it's just that's our core competency, and we want to stick to that. And but you're right in that the user friendliness is very important for us. Yeah, so to make your tool user friendly, so that a user doesn't make mistakes or can't make basically many mistakes, yeah, in the planning process. So that is certainly top of our mind. We've got the calculation tool K2 Base, but it's also, we started a K2 community online, which is like a forum where people can ask questions and get answers like from experts, yeah, or can even answer between themselves. So that all comes together. It's we call it the My K2 environment, if you like, but we will not try to implement inverters or panels and really make it like the full solar installation package, and so that's not the plan.
Okay, thank you very much. What I had seen, Kai, was that when I last used K2 Base design tool, I had seen certain products like Huawei and some of the panels being included, within the tool itself. I wanted to understand whether that is going to get developed into being added into, say, your whole shopping basket going forward.
We certainly took the first steps in so far that we like to call it the digital workflow, if you like, of a planning process. So we liaised with, for example, companies like Huawei, SolarEdge, which all have their own tools, which can actually do what they are after very well. Yeah? And we liaise with those companies, and via the API interface, we can now push or pull data between the various software tools. Yeah, so basically you've got the mounting side of things, and then you can actually push it up to a Huawei tool or a SolarEdge tool. We can then push it on to a distributor web shop. Yeah, so we've got that now as a feature in K2 Base, that you have a bill of material which you then can push on into a distributor's web shop. Again, that all makes it easier to plan or price up a project, and the possibilities are endless. I think we just started with that digital workflow, and it's certainly something K2 wants to do more in and invest more in, to make that going both ways. Planning, go steps back, or pulling the information. We have an import and export interface for PV Solar, which some might know is like a tool to calculate yield, or basically get to the bottom of financing a project. So we can pull information from there. So you don't have to do it again and again and again. So you can pull information, push it on, and that can be, bits of a database going into that and bits of a database going into there. But overall, it's that digital workflow going in both directions, that there's endless possibilities. And we started, and we have those features, and we can, the results, the bill of material can be pushed into the Alternergy web shop and checked for availability and ordered very quickly.
So you definitely would see that as being a key advantage over some of the other products in the market.
It's definitely the biggest and probably the most important area where we want to invest in. Yeah, so it is a focus. It will stay a focus, and it's even, I don't know, don't know if I can already say this, but K2 started now to have in-house staff. They look into artificial intelligence, how we can incorporate that into K2 Base. Again, we start off on a small scale, you have to, but for example, we are working on a roof detection sub-tool, if you like. Yeah, so basically you have Google imagery, yeah, and that tool within K2 Base can come up with a sensible suggestion with the panels, the layout, etc., So possibilities will be endless. Yeah. So we are looking into various aspects of this, and it will be one of the biggest areas where we carry on investing in.
Thank you. The next question I'd like to ask is whether you think there are any specific innovations or market shifts taking place in the industry, for example, financial strength of companies or any other aspect that you think is important.
Oh yeah, I think it is important. I mean, financial strength is always an important factor, and with the market being in a trough, or maybe just went through a trough at the moment, I think we are now in a consolidation period, and not all manufacturers, distributors, installers will survive that. So to stay healthy financially is always key. Don't overstretch yourself, don't overdo growth, and I think that is key to stay in the game in the long run. So we did that, and we are that, and I'm glad we are. And the consolidation period we're now going through, yes, I'm sure that some of the players will have to pull out or collapse. Probably the reason is that we went through a hyper-growth period, and that hyper-growth is always, you've got an aftermath of any hyper-growth period, and I think we're going through that aftermath period. So for us, I'm very confident. Finance is in order. We've got some things, as I said previously, lined up, looking into the future. We've got capacity in terms of warehouse, so we are geared up when the industry starts to grow, and I'm sure it will grow, and we're ready for it.
Thank you. So the next question I'd like to ask is, how's K2 addressing sustainability, environmental concerns within the industry?
It is always a topic, but lately, say like the last couple of years, it got an ever more important topic, and we have it high on the agenda. And we started with a few things, and we, for example, 75% of the aluminium we are using and selling is from recycled aluminium. We actually went through data we had from our aluminium suppliers, and we found that, for example, every aluminium used within K2 has an about 30% lower average carbon content than the EU average. Yeah, so we are already ahead of the game. So using recycled aluminium is the one thing. I think the biggest impact is that we aim, and we're quite good at it already, produce locally. Locally doesn't mean like necessarily around the corner, but more than 85% of all K2 products are manufactured in the EU, so like on the continent. And for the UK market, 2 years ago, we started to extrude 95% of all the rails, long length aluminium products in the UK. So that reduces transport costs. Yeah, we strengthen the local economy. So that is a sustainable way of doing things. Again, you need to have the quantities. Yeah, we do have those quantities in the UK, and we're making full use of it. So we started well with all the rails and short transport lanes to cover, but we will actually roll it out to more products. Yeah, so it's a process we started 2-3 years ago, and it's very successful. And it also helps us not just be more sustainable, it also helps us to actually keep control of the cost. So we are planning to do more, but we're already doing quite a lot in that respect.
And what about corporate social governance in terms of forced labor and where materials are sourced from? How much attention does K2 give to that?
We do give a good chunk of attention, and there is an official K2 code of conduct where everyone has signed up to. It's available online, so you can actually see what it involves. It has all these topics obviously covered, and so it is an important factor for us. K2 conduct is basically what we want to do, and so it is an important factor, and really there's that internal, I've lost it now. How can I put it?
I was going to say, are you confident that K2 identifies the sources where product comes from through their supply chain?
Yes, we try to wherever possible. It might not always be possible, but we're always asking the question, and we try to get proof from our upstream suppliers. This proof is often coming in the way of statements. Yeah, so you can't be 100% sure, but we try whatever is possible to dig deep and ask them to dig deep and prove it to us that an upstream supplier is, for example, not using Russian aluminium. Yeah, so that's a big topic at the moment. So we're trying whatever is possible and ask the question and try to go as far upstream as we can. But when someone, because all the metals are traded worldwide, yeah. So if there's like 3-4 steps up the stream, it's very difficult to follow.
To identify, yes, of course.
But we try whatever we can, and we've got all our upstream suppliers have confirmed that, for example, no Russian aluminium is consumed. K2.
Thank you. I'd also like to ask you, what role do you think that technology and digitization is going to play within the solar PV industry generally, and also as it applies to K2?
I think the role digitalization will just go bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think it is a very important aspect, and it's not just like controlling your sources, for example. It's also like in the planning process where you can use digital tools. And I've previously mentioned we've got a digital workflow where we heavily invest in tools and also the collaboration between digital tools of other manufacturers or third-party suppliers. So that's part of a digital workflow, digital revolution. So it is a very important topic. There's also a lot of people are talking about it at the moment, is artificial intelligence. So will artificial intelligence play a role in the solar industry? I'm sure it will. We started off, what can we do with artificial intelligence? We can detect roofs. Yeah, we can actually get artificial intelligence to make sensible suggestions for solar. That then might, for example, help to actually get a project going in the first place. Yeah, when you actually have a tool or intelligent tool who tells you, well, if you do it on this roof with that panel, yeah, you've got so and so much yield, or an alternative, you can compare it to another situation, another location with different yields, different amount of panels you can actually apply to. So I think digitalization will be and will ever be a more important role, or play a role in the PV industry as well. Not other industries, obviously, as well, but the solar industry as well.
Thank you. I suppose when we can talk about what's happening generally within the UK, the Labour manifesto, what targets they want to achieve. So there's the policy impact, and what impact it has on growth, effectively. So what impact does policy have on growth? That's the first thing. For example, in the US, they've got these tax rebates and incentives, that kick-started the US market. Are we going to see something happening in the UK with the Labour government? We don't know. Will they come up with a grant scheme, or are they going to come up with a tax rebate scheme or something? Zero rating of installations, for example, which took place, a couple of years ago. So these are sort of policy measures. So potentially, is there something that could happen? Because we're looking to the future, isn't it? So we don't know. Will the government do something as far as policy is concerned? Are there any innovations that are taking place? And in particular, with solar panels, and we've got this potential for perovskite coated panels. Are we going to see panels of 1 kilowatt coming in at some point of time? So that has an impact. I know that's an industry-related trend. Are panels becoming much bigger? Are we going to see that change, or have we sort of reached the optimum size of panels now? So I suppose that's
I'm sure we will see some more technical innovation on like the product side. I'm sure that will happen, but those will be small steps. I think all the big steps have been done.
Yeah. Perovskite is the only one where we might see a step change, where going from 23%, 24% efficiency, you hit 31, 32, 33, and then suddenly you've got, 40% coming through, because, that's what they're talking about.
I'm looking forward to see more innovation in that respect. I mean, in terms of mounting, there's probably not so much. I think the only area mounting is concerned is probably like where you can put solar panels on the ground, on the facade, on the roof. Maybe there's something else, and make that as easy and cost effective as possible. But yeah, on the panel side with that perovskite you mentioned, that might be something which will help. Policy wise, like a political involvement, it does help. It can kickstart industry in countries. So if there is an incentive in place, it did help in the UK. It helped in all other European countries and also globally, I would think. There's always like a downside as well when politics can interfere. So it can be in a good way or in a bad way. So to be honest, I'm quite pleased, and I think the solar industry in the UK, for example, we're actually doing a very good job with no incentives in place, or no direct incentives in place, and we survived very well. And we're striving, and the government doesn't have tools to interfere too much. Even like in the German market, which is like one of the oldest solar markets, if you like, they still have incentives in place, so they can reduce it, and then that leads to a trough, or downturn of market, and then the outcry is big. So I'm actually quite pleased that the politicians can't interfere too much. Now, on the other hand, there might be other areas where the solar industry alone probably can't do it all by itself. For example, the national grid. So that is something where I would like to see investment. Certainly the government helping to organize the investment. And then completely separate from like technological advances, I think there is quite a big opportunity in control tools in so far that we can generate electricity here and actually quite easily, with a few easy control tools, distribute it to various areas, various users, various consumers. So take a small example of domestic property. So yes, you can try to squeeze a couple of solar panels on your roof, but it is easily possible, for example, if you have a larger commercial roof.
I'd also like to ask you how you see the future of the commercial market going forward into 2025 and beyond.
I think the commercial market has the biggest growth potential. That is commercial rooftop or commercial and industrial rooftop. We've got plenty of business parks. We've got all that roof space, hardly utilized yet. So that is certainly for us as a mounting manufacturer the biggest growth potential, and we've got good product for it, so I'm quite pleased. There's obviously also growth potential in utility scale ground mount solar market. However, there might be some restrictions coming from that. You don't want to convert too much greenfield into solar farms. So don't really know where we're going there. I mean, there's certainly some opportunities and some areas or locations where we can have a solar farm to actually assist there. But the commercial and industrial rooftop market for us, K2, that is certainly has the biggest growth potential. We've got the product for the commercial rooftop. We also have solutions for ground mount, maybe not for like utility scale. Those projects are very big projects, and they also they're normally very finance driven. So it's really like a tenth of a penny might make the difference. So they're interesting for Chinese importers as well. So we struggle sometimes to compete on price, but what we're doing is that we offer pre-calculated, very easy to plan little smaller ground mount options, like a kit size, if you like, where you can have like multiple off. So a farmer, for example, who has a field and wants to have some solar there, it's not utility scale farm, but a proper size.
But they can put something at least, yes.
Put something in there, very quickly plannable, and then easy to finance therefore as well. So we're doing something in that respect. And commercial is definitely the area with the biggest growth potential.
I've also noticed a trend in recent year or so where people are installing panels on the north side of a roof because panel prices have come down so much and the efficiency of panels has also improved, that it's started to become commercially viable. Are you also seeing this happening?
Yes, yeah, no, we do. We have lots of requests now. It's like, oh, we don't want to just cover a south-facing roof. We also want to cover the north-facing roof. And they're all aware that a panel installed on a north-facing roof doesn't yield as much as a panel installed on a south-facing roof, but it still yields enough, yeah, to make it viable, yeah. And that again, if you like, we haven't thought about north-facing roofs up to a short period ago, but now we do, and all of a sudden we have a huge potential of roofs we can actually cover with solar. Those roofs are already existing, yeah, so it's basically very easy to put solar on. So we always promoted east-west facing roofs. I don't know if most people might know that when you have, everyone thinks like a solar panel is best installed facing south, and it's true when you really count the kilowatt hours generated by a solar panel, but you get peaks around lunchtime, so that's when it generates a lot. But it doesn't generate in the mornings and it doesn't generate in the afternoons. So we see a lot more projects going through with east-west facing panels, and that gives you a much more level yield over the course of the day. Now that is important when you want to consume most of the generated electricity on site. And a lot more companies want to do that. Refrigerators running, you name it. Yeah? So you generate already early in the morning. Yeah? You don't have that spike around lunchtime, and you generate well into the afternoon. So over the course of the day, you get a much more leveled out yield. Now add north-facing roofs, yeah, so we can actually play now with that, or we could look like, okay, what's the demand profile of a location, yeah, and the timing coming with it, and then you can actually orientate panels accordingly, or see what's possible with the roof space available.
And K2 has a solution for a north-facing roof where it sort of tilts up a little bit to try and take advantage of the angle?
Yeah, it's not a special system for that. We basically use the same systems we use for a south-facing roof. It's just a method of calculation or structural verification. Now, what we do, and that comes like from Eurocode calculation methods, if you like. So we don't, for example, in the UK, we normally have a southwesterly wind, right? But it's not that we simulate in our software a system only with wind from the southwest. Yeah? So we simulate it with wind coming from all directions. Yeah? Not at the same time, obviously. So for us, it doesn't really matter much in terms of like the product we're offering for a north-facing roof, but it's just a matter of when you have a roof tilted towards north, it takes obviously those calculation bits where we consider wind coming from the north and opening up or putting the panel more as a sail in the wind. So that obviously has then affects the results. So we are prepared with that, with the software, and product-wise, it's not a new product. It's just using the products.
An adaptation of the existing. Yes. So finally, I'd like to ask you how important it is to collaborate with distributors like Alternergy in your overall strategy.
Oh, it is important. I mean, they are the extended sales arm of any manufacturer. So they play the biggest role, yeah, in our route to market. And we know we have to support them well, yeah, not just like in terms of price, yeah, always make the best price. No, it's also like technical support or giving them tools at hand to train them well, to train them like how can you sell a system best. They're the extended sales arms. Basically, you are our sales force, yeah, and so very, very important.
And do you feel that that's worked successfully for K2 over the years?
Oh yeah, it did, and it did best. Well, our experience is like that a distributor who dedicates himself to solar and solar only, we've got the best experiences with, because if you've got distributors who do all sorts of things and they'd like to actually just have a little add-ons as solar as a little part of the portfolio, it's sometimes difficult because they're not really committed. Yeah? They don't have the staff to commit themselves and sell the product the right way, or actually advise their customers as best as possible. But with distributors and wholesalers dedicated to solar like yourselves, those are the ones we have the best experience with, and we want to support as best as we can.
So, at Alternergy, as you're aware, we've got a design tool for our customers which is pretty much focused and dedicated to K2. So when a customer goes online and creates a design, they get a full K2 components list. Is that something that you find is beneficial for K2 as a company?
Yes. In so far, or certainly for a domestic project, for example, and there are hundreds and thousands of domestic projects. A domestic project is not the most rocket science project to plan. I mean, the wind loads, it's 1.5, 2 stories. The wind loads aren't extreme. They're often like in a sheltered town area. So they're not exposed. So they don't need that, say, in-depth planning as you would get with a K2 base calculation. So you still need to obviously base it on some structural rules and regulations, which your tool does, but you can actually churn out a sensible result probably more quickly than you can do with K2 base. So it is helpful, or it's as an add-on or in combination, it actually works very well. So,
okay. Thank you. So as you know, Kai, we've worked with K2 now for quite a long time. In fact, K2 is probably the second product that we ever introduced to our customers when we first started. How do you value this long relationship that we've had with K2?
Well, I'm honored to actually have that long relationship with Alternergy, and I appreciate it very much. And I think it's not so common, and it actually shows that we both appreciate and favor quality over everything else. And I think that is the basis, obviously, personally on a good level as well. So that certainly helps. But no, I'm honored to have that long relationship with a distributor.
I mean, the same works for us because we really value not just the relationship from a business point of view, but also the personal relationships that we have built up with the K2 team, both in the UK and also from your head office team, where we know we can just pick up the phone and get some support and assistance. Sometimes, when, someone is not able to deal with something in the UK, we're able to get support. And I think from our point of view, we value that because it's a personal relationship as well as a business relationship.
Absolutely, same here, and I don't want to have it any other way. And it always was, and it will be a pleasure to work with Alternergy going forward.
It's likewise. Thank you.